so impressed with the responses to our challenge. I think the teams did such a good job of diving into it. They thought about the consumer. I love that they put up all of the examples of really understanding some of the issues that the end user would face, but then they tied those back to real business acumen. I was so blown away by how much they understood what business pressures a lot of companies face right now, that they thought about it from a financial point of view, but also from an end user point of view, and was just so impressed with the way they put it together and presented it. It was a really good flow of the story. It had a real good beginning, middle, and end, and was a very compelling session. I think this is so important. You know, if I think back to my own experience coming into the working world after university, it's quite daunting, right? It's very different systems, very different expectations. People almost speak a different language a lot of the time, talking about different meetings, whips, things that maybe you're not used to from a student setting. And so any exposure that we can give students to that is super important. I think it helps them begin to frame their learning from that perspective as well, and really understanding what the world of work might look like for them, but also what questions are fair for them to ask when they enter the workforce. How can they hit the ground running and be enthusiastic and not get thrown off and put off, which often happens with a lot of fresh grads. We find when they join business, they get a little bit quiet, they get a little bit concerned, you know, oh, do I have the skills that I need to really succeed here? Most of them do, they just haven't been taught necessarily about how to communicate that in a work environment. I would say for aspiring leaders, there's a few things to consider. I think the first is curiosity. So coming in and asking those questions, looking around you, seeing what's happening, always trying to learn and take on new skills. You know, your learning doesn't end at university, it continues in the workplace. I think the next is really understanding how to communicate with your peers, you know, making sure that you are voicing perspective, but not being too forceful, that you're also listening and taking that on board. And then I would also say a resilience around being able to take feedback, being able to really look at yourself objectively and think about the areas that you need to grow. You know, one of the things that I encourage a lot of people that I work with is to embrace discomfort. So anything that you're doing that maybe feels a little bit different, a little bit uncomfortable, that's maybe a good place for you to be in because you're trying something new and a different experience. I would say it's very important to have a broad perspective of different industries, different skills. You know, there are a lot of, particularly when you're in university, you know, you're very focused on this is the world that I operate in, this is my subject, this is what I'm good at. When really we have things to offer lots of different groups in different industries. And so I think it's really important to come in with a fairly open mindset that I have expertise and skills that I can bring to this role, but I also have other things that I need to learn, you know, whether it's just being able to use the software and the tools that are available at the company that I work at, whether it's being able to run a meeting, you know, and to take leadership in that environment, whether it's being able to present. You know, that was a great example today that we saw from a lot of students, is a lot of them said to me, it's the first time I've really had the opportunity to present to people because it's not part of my course. These are all really important skills that people need in today's workforce. There's a lot of competition, there's a lot of expectations around people's performance levels, and so being able to have a good solid grasp on lots of different skills is very important.